My talk today is based on these practices from my tradition. I was trained in the Tibetan Buddhism, but again, it's just ice cream. It's just called Tibetan ice cream. And excuse me, in our tradition, there's been different great masters in the different schools, different lineages, and this one teacher, Gyaltse Togme Zangpo, he's from the 14th century. He was a Tibetan monk. And he wrote these verses called the 37 verses on the practice of a Bodhisattva. Different titles, sometimes they're described as, the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, 37 verses of a Bodhisattva. Are you familiar with a Bodhisattva? Yeah?
Could you please explain that a little bit?
Sure. So the practices of a Bodhisattva, Bodhi means awake, Bodhi, awake, awakened, and the sattva is like a person, a being, So an awakened being, a Bodhisattva, an awakened human being who has, his intention is to awaken. And not just awaken for this one, but to awaken to be of benefit, to help others, to help all beings. And the Bodhisattva ideal is very important in Mahayana Buddhism. In the Mahayana, Maha means great, so the great vehicle. The great vehicle. Earlier Buddhist traditions, the teachings of the Buddha, his first turning of the wheel when he first taught, he really talked about cleaning ourselves up, cleaning our act up. So they call that the Vinaya. The Vinaya is conduct. So he really emphasized, people heard the Buddha, saw him, said, I want to join you. Okay, you got to clean up your room, make your bed, clean it up. And look at your actions that cause harm. So conduct, really emphasize conduct and self, the path of individual liberation. So this is where we have to start. But then they said that the Buddha gave more teachings once, to disciples who were a little bit more clear about looking at things. And this was called the Mahayana, the great vehicle. You could say a bigger view. So I like to describe it as, the path of individual liberation. We're just learning how to ride a bike, or maybe a single seater or something. And if our attitude is, we have a bigger view, and then, we discovered of the awakening and the benefits of being an awakened being, and then we want to help others. We say, wow, this is really great. I want to help others. This could help. But it doesn't mean knocking door to door and handing out pamphlets, or riding on a bicycle. This really means whatever somebody needs. It could be to hold the door open. It could be a cup of tea. Whatever someone needs. So that's a Bodhisattva. However I can help. So that's the Bodhisattva ideal in the bigger view. So like as I mentioned, the individual attitude of I got to clean this up. Sometimes we stay there, but sometimes we have a bigger view. It's like, oh, maybe I can get a minivan and bring more people along. I just have a one-seater. Maybe if I have a minivan, I can bring others along. Sometimes I say of a Bodhisattva as a soccer mom. So it's just that kind of attitude. And it's dependent on each individual. It doesn't mean one's better than the other one. It just depends where we're at on our path. Where we're at. And all the traditions, all the teachings have all these foundational, practices, conduct, moral conduct, discipline. So this here, the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, Gyaltse Togme example, this monk, he was a very realized monk. He wrote these verses, and he was probably, I believe he was a head of a monastery, so these verses are actually written for monastics, how to conduct themselves, the practice of a Bodhisattva, an awakened being. Monks, this is how you should behave, this is what one should practice, and cultivate. And it's kind of shifted to us too. So it's kind of, we read it, but as we study it and we kind of, pull it apart, because at first it might sound like it's archaic. It's kind of like, well, this is for monks. How do I bring that into my life? And this is up to us to kind of chew on it, to see, we have commentaries on it, many different commentaries. I have teachings on it. I've received many teachings of this throughout the years. So this was something that I thought, well, okay, this is my Bodhisattva activity. Now I share this. Here, take this. So he wrote 37 verses on how we if we wish to be an awakened being, go through life awake, how to conduct ourselves, our conduct. So I'm on the third verse of the practice, which the first two, actually, I'll just quickly review. The first of the 37 practices was to appreciate, to make this life meaningful, I think I called it, and it was to reflect on this precious human opportunity that we have as a human being. We can think, we can discriminate, we can see what's helpful, what's not helpful, versus in other beings, animals, other realms. It's hard to put, to really to contemplate, to reflect on what we're doing, our actions. So we're human beings. The first verse, how a bodhisattva, conducts himself is to appreciate this opportunity and make the best use of it, make life meaningful. We often say, what is the meaning of life? A meaningful life. Make it meaningful. And from the point of view of Bodhisattva, cultivate our minds, ourselves, and help others. Because first, before we jump into a lake to help somebody who's drowning, we better know how to swim, right? So we're learning how to swim. We're learning how to be first responders rather than first reactors. We're always reacting, I always say. This is our habit, our MO. And then the second verse was to abandon one's homeland. The practice of a bodhisattva is to abandon one's homeland. And this kind of, referred to really don't be so attached to a place. If you have to go somewhere else, go. Don't be attached, as far as the advice to the monks. It's like don't be attached to your home. But really, breaking it down, our homeland is our territory, my friends, my community, my team, my politics, all these things, that's my home territory. So that this advice is abandon your homeland. And this, and just live open. It's really cultivating an open mind. So if we really don't have a homeland, don't have a home base, as I mentioned during meditation, don't identify my thought. I say there are no good thoughts, there are no bad thoughts. If we just look at them without identifying, it's just an appearance. We say good, I don't like it, good, bad, right? This one here, identified, but it's just an appearance. So the same thing with a homeland, where we're identifying my team, my Long Beach meditation. Yeah, this Sangha is better than the other Sangha. It's, or even, the Mahayana is better than the other path. Things like that. This is our homeland. We always make a territory. Where's Soto Zen? Those are Rinzai. I'm Karma Kagyu. That's Gelugpa. Homeland. I'm red, they're blue. So we can really see that, right? We might say, well, this was written in the 14th century. How does that relate to what's happening? You can see it now. We see flags everywhere, signs everywhere, right? Some of us might say, well, isn't it okay to want justice, to want equality, this, that? Yeah. But is there a lot of attachment there? When it's not going our way, what's happening in our mind? Can we be open, an open hand? So that was that second verse, to abandon our territory, what we perceive as mine, my friends, my team. And he was saying, the advice is because things change, right? Things change. You might be a friend. It always cracks me up when I talk to somebody and I say, hey, how's your buddy? So I say, oh, I'm not talking to them anymore. I'm mad at them. And then a few weeks later, oh yeah, we went out, hung out. It's like samsara, it's just like. So that's the advice, don't be so attached, because a friend one day might be an enemy the next day. And then now this verse here, the third verse, is it's about it's about solitude, benefiting from solitude. So the verse goes, when unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. When there are no distractions, positive activities naturally increase. As awareness becomes clearer, confidence in the dharma grows. To rely on solitude is the practice of a bodhisattva. So again, this is advice to monks. It was first written. But how do we relate to this? When unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions fade. You could say unfavorable places are where we can't practice, what we're learning. We say dharma practice. As I mentioned, these verses, this advice is for monks. So he's talking about difficult to practice the dharma in unfavorable places. This could be, at that time, probably, amongst home, with the family and the feuding and the fighting and all this that's going on. So rely on solitude. So the monks became monastics. For us, what are our unfavorable places, right? When their unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. What do you think is like an unfavorable place, and that these disturbing emotions diminish? What place can you see as something that we say triggers me, right? That triggers me.
Could be a toxic relationship.
Could be a toxic relationship. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Many different ways, that we can see. Toxic relationship. I know a lot of people, friends who moved to another state after they graduated school. They moved to another state because their family environment was so toxic. It was very difficult. Toxic. It's an interesting word because again, it's our perception, how we're perceiving it. But in ultimate truth, there's no toxic. There's no not toxic. It's how we perceive it. We say poison. But if we look at it with awareness and compassion and not identify, medicine. It's turned into medicine. So it's all how the mind is relating. We relatively, we change the environment. You can say, well, what about this? Well, yeah, relatively, we can remove ourselves from an environment, which is difficult for us to, if we're cultivating a mind to be awake and kindness and compassion, that's needed there, but maybe we're not ready yet. We haven't developed yet a muscle, to remain in a place like that and be helpful. Like in one of the commentaries I was reading, this advice is for beginners and for bodhisattvas who are still in the world, training, cultivating these qualities. But for an Arya bodhisattva, Arya is noble, a noble bodhisattva, like Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, all these disciples of the Buddha who attained a bhumi. They call it a bodhisattva bhumi. There are 10 bhumis, levels as the bodhisattva begins to advance. A bodhisattva on any one of those bhumis, they say they're okay. They can remain in an unfavorable place because that's their wish. The Bodhisattva wishes. Some Bodhisattvas say, may I be reborn in hell so I can help. Pretty cool, huh? Actually pretty hot, probably. But yeah, so that's a Bodhisattva's wish. May I be a bridge, may I be a boat, may I be in hell, whatever, wherever I'm needed. But that's a noble Bodhisattva. That's an Arya Bodhisattva who's attained a level of on the Bodhisattva path, a bhumi they call it, a level. And the first is to see truly see how things are, the nature of things, reality, which is emptiness, clarity and emptiness, luminosity and emptiness, appearance and non-appearance, and empty. Not two things, but co-arising, the appearance and emptiness. It's arising because it's empty. It's appearing because it's empty. So when a Bodhisattva has realized that, then unfavorable, favorable, doesn't matter. I want to help. In unfavorable places, disturbing emotions gradually fade. When there are no distractions, positive activities naturally increase. Distractions too. Distractions could be, as you mentioned, an environment that's not, not conducive for waking up. A lot of confusion there. As awareness becomes clearer, confidence in the Dharma grows. To rely on solitude is a practice for Bodhisattva. So at first, we have to kind of take ourselves out of these unfavorable places, which could be a toxic relationship, toxic family, work environment, or it could be, party time. I'm going to go, should I sit here for 30 minutes in long-beach meditation? Wow, I got here early, so I was walking, what's that street there where all the restaurants at? So I was like, wow, I feel like stopping one of those places and getting a margarita or something. But then Keesman would have said, where are you? I'm at an unfavorable place. But, that's not bad. That's not good or bad. I could have stopped and got a margarita and finished coming here. But sometimes, our practice is just like, this is what we want to do, and then, I'll do this later. I'll do this later. That's up to us. Nobody's taking notes, counting points. It's up to us. It depends on what you want to do. If Deb had some tequila in there, that's fine. That's fine. It's just like, oh no, that's bad. No. For me, I would see Deb came here early, set everything up. Maybe she's a little tipsy. Wow, she did it pretty good. She didn't tip anything over. But the unfavorable places are that, just like, what do we want to do? It's up to us. The practice of a bodhisattva, if you want to be an awakened being, look at your conduct, look at what you're doing, look at where you're hanging out, what you want to do. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. Well, can I go to a rave? Yeah, go to a rave. But if it's a place that, and then we're back to square one where our mind's just like, and then we know how's that working out? How's this place working out? So it's up to us. Unfavorable places can also be in the mind. Our mind, an unfavorable place. Right? Oh, that triggers me. And then our mind is in another place, complaining, wishing this person would go away, whatever it be. It could be somebody snoring during meditation or something. Where are we going? To an unfavorable place of complaining, just spinning. So that's an unfavorable place where, the disturbing emotions are just, It's like the other day I was talking about a snow globe. Is that what they call them? A snow globe, right? And we shake it and then we watch the snow. That's how our mind is. We're constantly shaking that snow globe. Meditation, form up to practice to put it down. But then we're sitting and then we You know? They're fascinated with the snow, little snowflakes. So practice is that, putting down the snow globe and let it settle. You know? So an unfavorable place could be a state of mind. Unfavorable place that we camp out at. This is where we camp, right? Sometimes we see somebody going to a place like that and we say, don't go there. You know? Don't go there. It's not a physical place, it's a place in the mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm staying right here, presence. You know? And that's what practice does. It returns us. We're becoming familiar, as I said, getting used to, oh, yeah, this. I don't have to do that. Just this, presence. The sensation of my leg, the weight of the body, the sound of my voice returns us. We're returning to naturalness, this natural way of being, which is, it's just naturally happening moment by moment. So yeah, so these unfavorable places could be our state of mind that we take, we take refuge there. We talk about taking refuge, right? Taking refuge in the three jewels. But our habit is taking refuge in these unfavorable places, either physical or a state of mind, unfavorable state of mind. And we sometimes, again, we're hard on ourselves. Why do I always do that? Why do I do that? It's just a habit. Just a habit. That state of mind also has to shift. Don't perpetuate that state of mind. Just notice. As I mentioned during meditation, your mind drifts off. Just notice. Not like, oh, why did I do that again? Why do I always? Just notice. And return just the breath, body, even that thought is the opportunity to wake up. So we can be thankful for that thought that we didn't want here. What are you doing here? Oh, thank you. Back to presence. Yeah. When unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. When there are no distractions, positive activities naturally increase. These positive activities naturally increase. Could be, practicing generosity, whatever it is that we're doing, volunteering somewhere. But it can also be this positive activity, it's just this awareness. From that awareness, the function, right? Because there's no distraction. Undistracted, then naturally we know what to do. Help someone. As awareness becomes clearer, confidence in the Dharma grows. Yeah. As our awareness becomes clearer, as we see those states of mind, oh, I see. Then there's confidence in what we're learning, what we're practicing. Oh, it does work. Yeah. As awareness becomes clearer. So that's really, okay, what do we do? What is the practice? Awareness. Awareness. And it's not, okay, now I'm going to be aware. Awareness was there before that even, But it was just a little obscured by this one. To rely on solitude is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So again, advice for monks, but advice for us, solitude, right? Cultivate this, we say, sometimes we say, I need me time. I'm always kind of suspicious of that, because that could be some attachment there too, and aversion. Go away, I need me time. But if there's a nice balance, it's good to have this time just of solitude, cultivating solitude practice. Some of us are really, I was talking to my wife about this, and she was telling me her mom split up with her partner again, and And she's all like, she really has a hard time being alone. And I was going, that's interesting. I was going to talk about solitude today. And she was talking about that we crave companionship. We're social creatures. And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with that. We're social creatures. We enjoy a community, a sangha together, right? So, but it's good to practice some solitude sometimes. Notice when our mind's like, we want to go somewhere, just be with somebody. Just like notice. It's up to us. It's our homework to look at what is my motivation, what is my intention here. It doesn't mean like, okay, I'm not going to go, hang out with Kisen or next Sunday maybe Kisen will be here, nobody will be here. And then, Victor will go, what happened? Oh, they really took that solitude to heart. And they're in solitude somewhere, We could be in a group of people, we can be in solitude. We're not going to that place in our mind, that unfavorable place in our mind. But we're baby bodhisattvas, so we're in training. So, as this advice says, practice in solitude sometimes, When we're at home on the weekend, what do I do? I'm bored, just trying to maybe just sit. 5 minutes, do your practice, if you have a practice. If you do yoga, do some movement practice. Be okay with just this solitude. Nobody's here, just me. Make good use of that opportunity of solitude. I was on my own for about 15 years before I got married and inherited a teenager. That's been interesting, And there's been times where I've been doing like retreat at home, just on my own, but and sometimes he comes home. He's home. He won't go play with his friends, so I'm okay with it. It has to be. It's just interesting to see that energy. But excuse me. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been challenging to practice solitude because we need those conditions to cultivate that, to practice that. But after that, then we should be okay with in the marketplace, as they say. They say, when we go on retreats in Tibet, there's a tradition, the Tibetans would go into caves up in the mountains and do 3-year, 5-year, 10-year retreats, live up in the mountains, 15 years, solitary retreats. And like someone in the village would bring them supplies or something. And these yogis, when they would complete a retreat, 10 years, 12 years, whatever, to test their realization, if they had made any progress, they would come down from their retreats and they would go into the marketplace. You could say like a swap meet or something probably, and see how they would handle it. If they saw they were disturbed, their minds they would, okay, I got to go back for another 5 years and cultivate it. And then when they would come down again, they would be okay with the busyness of life, and they knew they achieved some realization. But for us, just beginning, if we have the opportunity to practice in solitude, we can do that. And we can also see these could be an unfavorable physical place, a place that's not conducive for our practice, what we wish to do. Not conducive, so we take this advice. Yeah, I should really look at that. And also, it could be an unfavorable place in the mind, where our habit of going to that place in the mind. Can you believe what they did to me? I know they did that to me on purpose. What'd they do? Oh, they said this. It's nothing, But we're like going to a place in our mind. I know. That's us. Nobody's doing that to us. So that is the third verse of the benefits of solitude. So thank you for your attention. I hope you take some of these words and make good use of them. Put them into your own practice. There's these three aspects of practice of training, listening, reflecting, and meditating, we say. To listen or hear the teaching, hear the talk, to reflect on what we heard, say chew on it, and then meditate and swallow it, eat it, and do your practice and live in accordance to what we've heard or learned. We reflected on it. Does it make sense for us? Yes. So meditate on that. That could be on a cushion, that could be meditate, go into the world with this new understanding of how things are. So if anyone has any questions on the benefits of solitude, what I shared here, this verse, any complaints, please, the floor is open. For those on Zoom as well. Teresa's always complaining. Yes?
So when you talk about the uncomfortable places, I work with a lot of people who are grieving, and grief seems like a very uncomfortable place for a lot of people. Do you have any advice about that?
Yeah. Stay open, listen. Be very present when we listen to someone who's grieving. And just be there. We say hold the space. Kind of a funny term. It's like, how do you hold space? But it's just really giving space. Give space. We say sometimes when somebody's having, like a hard time breathing something, give them space. That's all we need sometimes. We think they need this, they need that. Give them this, well maybe this, what about this? It's because we're uncomfortable and we want to change this. But if we're comfortable in ourselves and we're at ease and we activate our compassion. A lot of people talk about social activism. Social activism could be activating this compassion, activating the compassion that's here already. How do we do that? Do nothing. Sometimes you'll see what's needed, and then you might function. But the first step is do nothing. Listen. Someone's grieving. Compassion. Wish to relieve them of their suffering. So listen. If it's someone that you're comfortable with, hand on. Touch is very human touch. It's very powerful. Just hold their hand. Just sit with them. Listen to them. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
What would you say to the unfavorable practice of people driving without respect for the law or the other driver's personal safety? I mean, if I'm doing 35 in a 35 speed limit zone and I see a red light, I stop. Other people are going through. Now, how do you deal with that unfavorable thing?
What is your state of mind in that moment?
Say that again?
What is your state of mind in that moment?
Fear, awareness that someone's going to do something stupid, but I also have my rights to proceed on a green instead of... Okay, so I'm not sure how... I have to reconcile with myself and just breathe and pull back and allow these people to do it.
That's pretty much all we have.
Yeah.
But there's two options. As I mentioned first, when I say look at your mind, that is most important. Look at your state of mind, and then feel. This doesn't feel good. There's fear. You said there's fear.
Yeah,
It's
fear
like,
and caution.
well, interesting. Yeah, you fear because of this appearance, right? If nothing happened, nobody was hurt, it's like, okay, just look at that. Well, nothing happened. But I don't like that they run the red light or
Right.
their speed. Okay. But look at your state of mind. How it's okay to say, well, they should have stopped there and this and that. But
Yeah.
look at your state of mind that gets caught up to an unfavorable place.
Yeah.
Fear, tightness, the body. You feel it. It's like, oh, interesting. And don't, I'm not going to do that again. No, that doesn't help either. Just to look at it again and again and again, and without without identifying my fear. I'm afraid. I don't like this. I just like, oh, fear. Oh, not like, aversion. Interesting. Don't identify with it. Just, you could label it aversion, fear, anxiety. Interesting. You just kind of have a curious, and then ground, and then breathe. Breathe just as we do here in the cushion. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. Because in those moments, the mind is, our breath is even short. So just really, as I mentioned, like remember your meditation practice to regulate the body. Hold your heart. Just like holding your heart is just like you, like saying it's okay. It's okay. And folks, they're going to be naughty, But we can just make wishes. Oh, I hope may they be safe. May they not hurt somebody. May they not hurt themselves.
It feels chaotic. It feels like I'm the only one paying attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I do, I give them space and go ahead and you don't proceed on a green light anymore. You just don't until you look. So
Yeah.
you have to be aware. That's the key.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Very aware.
Awareness of not just the external phenomena, awareness of the internal phenomena.
Yeah.
The mind, what's
You
happening.
can almost feel someone's going to run when you're aware.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be.
But that is an infringement on my right and my peace.
Well, yeah.
Because
That's part of the problem, actually.
Yeah.
My peace, my rights.
Right. That is,
position.
I know. I'm trying to write about it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I do swear every once in a while.
But it's society. We need to respect the laws and the rules of societies and that. But but as a practitioner, we also look at our mind, and how strongly we're identifying, and then craving and aversion. Those two. I want it. I don't want it. So just play with that. First, look at your state of mind. Always. Don't go speeding. Okay. Oh, look at that. And then turn the lamp inwards. That state of mind. Just tightness. Feel your body. Ooh. Just little by little. And be kind to yourself. Friendly. Have a friendly attitude towards yourself. And you'll see that'll begin to just go outward.
I'm staying in more. For sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
What advice might you have on when you're waiting for, your doctor's called you in for test results to go over with you? What is your advice on just that anxiety of not knowing, and then ultimately the known after, which I don't know what it is yet?
Yeah. That don't know what you mentioned, really lean on that. Lean on don't know. I know it's challenging, it's difficult, but it's practice. We say, practice. the practice of a bodhisattva, doing our practice. Some say, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to meditate practice, but practice is also, leaning on don't know, getting a little tight, no fear. Don't practice that. Practice don't know. Don't practice identifying in uncertainty. Fear, oh, interesting. Don't know. Just again and again. Don't know. Don't know. But I know it's difficult, it's challenging, and we're all sending good wishes your way. Yeah. And then the result, who knows? Don't know. Who knows? And also, like during this period when you feel that fear and anxiety and fear and uncertainty, think of others. Oh, there's so many people that feel this way or in this position. May I take that from them as you breathe in and breathe out. Don't know. Yeah. So that's how a bodhisattva functions. Oh, I can make good use of this. The same with you. That fear. So many people don't like this, and I'm feeling like this. We breathe through this, lean into it, and may I take that from everyone who's afraid, has fear, all that. That's how we practice. That's how we begin to untangle, disassemble this ego. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me at this favorable place. Thank you, Ki-sen, Deb, everyone who volunteered here. I think I read the announcements already, didn't I? All right. Got rid of that. Thank you so much for joining me. For those on Zoom, those here, let's conclude with our wishes, our prayers, our dedication of merit. In practice, we say there are two accumulations in the Mahayana, in the Bodhisattva path: the accumulation of wisdom and compassion, or the accumulation of merit and wisdom. And merit could be the practice of compassion. So when we're cultivating virtuous activity, when we're doing something like this or practice, we're accumulating merit. Not like a merit badge, we're collecting something, but we're building character. Our characters as bodhisattvas, as awakened individuals, we're developing that character. You could describe merit as, Also this imprints in our mind. It's merit. So when we dedicate the merit, again, the Bodhisattva says, accumulated this merit, and then says, I give it away. We don't hold on to it. Put it in our little bank account. Give it away. May all beings benefit from this merit. They say it's like dropping, a drop of water in the ocean versus dropping it on a rock. If you drop a drop of water on a rock, right, it's going to evaporate. If you drop it into the ocean, it joins the merit of all bodhisattvas, all Buddhas and bodhisattvas, all beings who are moving in this direction, functioning towards awakening. So, let's conclude here. We dedicate the merits of our practice to everyone gathered here, to our families, our community, and to all beings throughout the Dharma worlds. May the light of wisdom dispel darkness and awaken compassion. Let all karma be released and the natural mind bloom in eternal spring. May we see clearly into the nature of reality and live each moment with awareness. Let us awaken together and walk the way with love and humility. May all beings be happy and safe from harm.
May all beings be happy and safe from harm.
May all beings be healthy in body and in mind.
May all beings be healthy in body and in mind.
May all beings be peaceful and free from suffering. May all beings obey all the traffic laws. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Brad with Long Beach Meditation. Your gracious generosity makes this programming possible. If you found this video to be of value, please consider making a donation here. If you'd like to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to stay up to date with Long Beach Meditation, click here to subscribe. Thank you.